Hey there people, how's it going? This is Cross the Rubicon channel. Just fed the cows and the goats and the pigs. I was sent a message earlier by a lady, a very well known lady. I'm not going to mention her name, most of you know who it is, who was in the Palmerston North Stop Co Governance event a few days ago, and she came out of the event. She is a supporter of Stop Co Governance. She came out of the event and she was attacked. She was attacked by these lunatics, basically. Mostly white, a minority of Maori radical extremists who, well, pushed and shoved, spat on her, and one Maori fella and his Maori girlfriend accosted her, and he hit her on the back of the head with his torch, a big heavy torch. And all this right in front of the local constabulary in Palmerston North. And they did nothing. They chose to do nothing, or they were told to do nothing, I'd rather believe. I'm sure there's many individual police, as I experienced myself in Takaka a week or so ago, where allegations were made against me, false allegations of course, that I assaulted someone and two people, and but the video evidence on both sides, mine and theirs, completely exonerated me. But they tried to make the claim and tried to make it stick that I was the agitator. This lady in Palmerston North, she was pushed to the floor. Her phone was grabbed out of her hand, same as me, and she was pushed to the floor, where she lost her credit cards and other kinds of cards that we carry in our wallets and our purses. And she scrambled on the floor to try and get her phone. Someone else picked it up and gave it back to her. And as she scrambled onto the floor to find her cards, she was pulled up by her hair, right in front of a police officer who, she said, was standing right next to her, seen everything, and then she said to him, "Did you see that?" And he said, "I didn't see a thing." And he said to come to the police station tomorrow and file a report. This is what we're up against in New Zealand, see, is that these people have the upper echelons of the police on their side, because basically you can't get to the upper echelons of the police or any government department if you're not fully on board of the complete Maorification of New Zealand. You cannot get there, and if you want to get anywhere in any situation now in New Zealand, you have to succumb to what the Labour government wants, and that is pro co-governance, pro globalisation, pro hey pua pua. And you have to be anti-free speech. You have to be, basically, you have to support everything. Radical extremist Maori, right at the very top of the tree. Oh, and to name names, yes. Rawiti, Waititi, Debbie Packer, Willie Jackson, JT, the Mahuta family, all iwi leaders, Maori, so-called Maori academics in universities, all them, treatyists, people who have claims in, the people that are making hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of millions tax-free via, I believe, false claims, and many believe false claims. And so you have to support all this. That's if you want to get anywhere in New Zealand, in any government department, even private corporations now. But this lady told me that the people going in, people coming out, wasn't only her, because I had 2 phone calls today, and another one was in, I think it was Hastings, where this bloke said much the same thing. And he said the violence is escalating by Maori and the far left, who are extreme. They're extremists. And yet our politicians, the weak politicians, weak, limp-wristed, wet bus ticket politicians like Chris Hipkins, the Prime Minister, and many others. David Seymour as well. I've got to say David Seymour, because only yesterday I watched on a video where Rawiri Waititi and Debbie Packer asked Chris Hipkins about what's he going to do about the rise of white supremacy in New Zealand. There was a golden opportunity right there, and David Seymour was sitting right there in Parliament to stand up and say something to these people, but they don't. They don't. A golden opportunity for him to say, what white supremacy in New Zealand? So, white supremacy in New Zealand right now, I'll tell you exactly what it is anybody who supports Stop Co governance. Anybody who says, I don't like the Maorification of New Zealand. Anybody who says, I don't particularly enjoy LGBTQ story time to my children or grandchildren. Anybody who says, I don't want radical extremist Maori, unelected Maori, ruling over New Zealand, because this is all unelected. They're going to get there purely on the basis of basically their bloodline. It's not even their skin colour, because most of them look like me, but they just say they're Maori. And they get added qualifications if they get the old facial tattoos and things like that. That adds qualifications. And I'm sorry if that upsets people, but it just does. Especially Debbie Packer. Because I've seen pictures of Debbie Packer when she was actually white. But now she's brown. Amazing. But the violence is escalating. And I know Julian Batchelor, his events up north tonight and tomorrow night, I think, they've been threatened with extreme violence. And now the gangs are getting involved. The gangs. And the police, I believe, I might be wrong, the police have been told to turn the other way and not see things. Let it happen. I believe, like I said, I might be wrong, but I don't think so. Look the other way. Don't see anything. And like I said before, something will happen. Someone's going to get hurt, and it's going to be somebody going into the event. And the media, the biased, twisted media, because they're funded $55 million by the government to lie to the great New Zealand public, they will spin it that it was, well, Maori and the far left activists outside these events, the Stop Co governance events. They were attacked by these 60, 70-year-olds that are going into the event, when these people are literally being pushed and shoved and spat at and screamed in their faces by Maori activists and far leftists, calling them racists, because that's all they've got. All they've got is intimidation, bullying, name calling. That's all they've got. That's all Rawiri's got. Rawiri Waititi and Debbie Packer and Marama Davison. That's all they've got, is just to call people racist, you're racist, racist. That's all they do, all day long. Racist, 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 Hitler, far right, white supremacist. That's all they have. Why can't New Zealand, here's one for you, have a referendum? Why can't we have a referendum on co-governance? Wouldn't that be nice? Let's show true democracy in New Zealand and have a referendum on whether New Zealand wants Maori, basically, to have 50-50 governance of New Zealand, where they have veto over the other 50%. But remember, the 50% that Maori are going to get are going to be unelected, and they are going to have veto powers over the other 50%. So why can't that be put to New Zealanders? Why can't we have a referendum? Do you think you're going to get one? Do you think Rawiri and Rawiri Waititi, Half Wheaty Waititi, and Debbie Packer and Willie Jackson, Marama Davison, the Mahuta family, do you think they're going to call for a referendum? No, because they just want it. They want it for nothing. They want power, they want money, and I'm talking in the billions, for nothing. And many white liberal wet bus tickets support it because they got nothing upstairs, nothing. I wish they'd lead by example and hand over everything, hand over the keys to everything they own to iwi. That'd be nice. We'll see how it feels. Because they stand to lose everything as well, but it'll be too late for them. They're actually voting for it. Turkey's voting for Christmas. Rawiri Waititi just said the other day in a video that Maori live in fear in New Zealand. Maori live in fear in New Zealand. That's probably one of the greatest lies ever told in this country. Maori do not live in fear. The truth is in New Zealand that everyone now in New Zealand lives in fear of Maori, especially Maori radical extremists, because you can't say anything to your friends, you can't say anything in your workplace, a private company, or even a government organisation. You can't say anything against what's happening in this country because your job is at risk. You can't even express an opinion to the negative about what is happening in New Zealand. So if anyone is living in fear, it's 85% of the population, 86% of the population who are not Maori. They live in fear of being persecuted by the radical extremists who, well, have been given so much power in this country purely based on their, well, of the blood that runs through their veins, basically. A little diddy bit of Maori, and who call themselves Maori. New Zealand is going to a very, very dark place, and people slag me off all the time. I've been saying this for years, but now it's being ramped up. And to be fair to Julian Batchelor and the Stop Co Governance Tour, he has really helped highlight the hatred, the real hatred and venom and vitriol radical extremist Maori have for everyone in this country who say otherwise to them. They want to destroy people. They want to destroy anybody, and they have the media on their side, fully funded media to support everything they say. And the weak, limp-wristed politicians of ACT, National and Labour. Okay, I think I've said enough. But we're moving into very, very perilous times. And that lady that suffered in Palmerston North, she's still in a state of shock, still. She lives in fear in Palmerston North. She can't go to the local shops. She can't walk down the street without shouts of slag and slut. Mostly, well, nearly almost always by Maori extremists. But the police, mostly, just look on and say nothing because their bosses tell them to look the other way. That's the future of New Zealand right now, unless we collectively call for a referendum in this country on co-governance and get it, or we stop it another way. Okay, this is Cross the Rubicon. Please like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel and share this video everywhere. See you later.